So our friend down here had contacted us and said that while he was under there, kind of moving stuff out, and while he was kind of getting cleaned up for us, he said that the water lines were broken, and I get another phone call that the hot water heater needs to be replaced. When he went to undo the lines, the whole top of the water heater just came off because it had expanded so much from being frozen, it basically cracked the tank. So this is starting to get expensive. But he said, he was like, when you get here, you may want to think about having your drains replaced too. That he just basically cut holes in and let the PVC drain pipe from like our drains, like our kitchen and stuff, go down into the black pipe, and that was how everything was draining. Well, the problem with that is that it's ribbed. So water's going to kind of lay in there for a little bit, and it's going to stink. You really do need PVC as far as you can go because it's smooth. It will drain all the way, so you're not going to get a residual smell, and water's just not going to sit in there. Nothing was tightened, and I believed him on that, and I'm going to tell you why. In the spring, when we were here, before contractor number 2 started doing stuff, contractor number 1, the one who messed stuff up, never tightened the fixture in the sink. So when we turned the water on initially, it was leaking under the sink, the bathroom sink. There was no kitchen sink at the time.
Not to mention,
Yeah, Ginger's going to tell you this.
they
This is funny.
completely plumbed the hot and cold backwards. We should have known something was not quite right here, but we trusted him.
He opened up the door to go into the crawl space, and he said, dude, you got a gas leak. I'm like, well, how bad? He said, it reeks under here. As it turned out, contractor number 1 never tightened a lot of the gas line. There was a gas line that was basically the yellow flex pipe that they had cut an end off of and just jammed it into a black iron pipe and put gas cement around it. I mean, I've never seen this kind of stuff before. Gas was just pouring out. I am fuming at this point because my family's been here. And thank God that the window was broken, that there is some ventilation under there. Otherwise, that could have been very bad.
If those pipes hadn't burst, we would not have been having work done underneath of there. We would not have discovered these gas lines. And this whole house could have just exploded one day. God was in the details of every disaster that we dealt with. And it's just, we've had so many God moments through this that we know that we're probably going to be learning lessons from this for years to come. Okay,
So that actually reminded me of something. Highly recommend one of these. This was bought on eBay. I bought this actually after the fact. All this stuff's been fixed. So this is a cheapo but works gas sniffer. So if you're having work done, or even if you just have natural gas, highly recommend it. It was $34, but it does work. You just press a little button here. It takes 30 seconds to turn on initially, and then it's got a green button. You just press it, walk up, keep pressing it, walk up, keep pressing it, and it'll tell you real time within seconds if there's a gas leak or not. And what'll happen is, usually this little LCD here, you probably can't see it too well, but this LCD here will light up red. It'll start beeping if it senses gas. So highly recommend one of these. But all that to say, but now the gas was fixed because he basically said, hey, look, I can either replace everything or just kind of, check out what's here and just basically take it all out and restart over. And that's what he did. The pipes themselves were fine. But we found out that actually a lot of this pipe wasn't even screwed together. It wasn't even, tightened up. And that's why everything was leaking. It wasn't just one little leak here. It was everything. And that was a huge, huge issue because contractor number 1 was just lazy, neglectful. And unfortunately, it could have cost us our life. And it's only by the grace of God that it didn't. So anyway, So he did that, and while he was here, I said, look, I'm working between basically this room behind us here is Kevin and Isaiah's room. My job before all this happened, even I had kind of laid it out that I was going to work in there first. I was going to get, the spackling done, the painting done, get them in there, get them set up, and that's that. And then I was going to work on our bedroom. That was the plan. But I realized, especially with everything that happened, that I could not do it that way. I really needed to get ahead of this. And so we had decided to hire these people, contractor number 2, to basically go in our room, spackle it, get it done, and then that way all I had to do was paint it. So he was here doing that, and Ginger asked him about there was windows that contractor number 1 had replaced. Contractor number 1 also put windows in for us in certain spots, like in our dining room there was a glass sliding door, and he took the glass sliding door out and put in 2 windows. He did that, of course, and that was kind of a custom thing, but he did that. And she had noticed that one of the windows there that he put in was bowing. So basically, like the top of it was kind of like this, rather than being level, it was kind of like bowing.
It was also a window that last spring we couldn't open properly. It was very difficult to open.
It was very hard to open. So I had also noticed upon further inspection that all of the windows that contractor number 1 had put in were doing this. And it turned out that contractor number 1 hadn't put any headers over any of the windows. Basically, it was just held up by 2x4s that he had cut in half. Yes, he halved 2x4s.
And not even true halves.
It's not even true halves. It looked like Isaiah cut it in a lot of spots. It was crooked as all get out. And yeah, he had basically just half 2x4s at the center, basically a 2x2. And in some places, they weren't even touching top to bottom. They had a gap this much. It was ridiculous. So at this point, we had to make a tough decision because it wound up. He had to rip that wall out, at least the top of it out there. He had also found a spot here in where our breezeway basically connects to our dining room. There was supposed to be, contractor number 1 had put up a 4x4 in one corner, but there was no header over the top. There was nothing holding anything. And it was starting to bow. The ceiling was bowing because he took out the support. There was no support there.
The drywall was actually cracking.
Yeah, the drywall was cracking, and it was becoming noticeable and a problem. So he had to put up a header, basically the width of the room there, and support it.
Header. He had to move the bathroom door down to accommodate the support on the other side of the wall. He had to tear out the windows and the wall around the windows, replace the windows. We had to buy a second set of windows. He had to tear out the kitchen window and fix that. They were able to reuse that window. And here in the living room, had to tear out around these 3 windows because they didn't have headers.
Yep. There was no support at the top, so all the weight was coming down directly on the window. So we made the decision at that point that walls had to be ripped out, and Ginger and the kids went to a hotel for a couple days.
Which was...
Yeah, it was tough.
The hotel was wonderful. The people were kind. But it was me alone with 3 kids in an environment that was not our home.
Yep.
And it was really hard.
And it was hard on me being here, watching them do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was also hard because I'm working literally day and night. Getting this Kev's and Isaiah's room painted, painting our bedroom because that was now ready to be painted. But it was very tough, very, very hard.
Oh, and in this, we noticed something that we should have noticed right off the bat. The drywall, the moisture-resistant drywall, the special drywall that you use in bathrooms, was installed in the kitchen dining room, and entryway area. But the bathroom, there's no moisture resistant drywall. And that drywall is more expensive than regular drywall. So we paid for the special moisture resistant drywall for the bathroom, but it wasn't used in the bathroom.
Yeah, the tub was
we should have
not.
noticed this right away because it's a different color, but we were so overwhelmed because we don't know where anything is. Like I couldn't find I couldn't find like plates and cups. I couldn't find food, and me being a celiac, I have to have gluten-free food. I had packed all of that. There was so much that we just, like, the longer we were here, the more we were noticing. That was just wrong.
And that's basically what had happened. They fixed all that. And this was the craziest part. So basically, the house is divided long ways in half. So this way, there's the outer wall in the backyard, outer wall in the front yard, and then there's a center wall. Of course, that has doorways and stuff to get from one end to the other. But that center wall is a main wall, obviously, and underneath in the crawl space, it has a center beam. Now, we paid contractor number one $1,500 to replace that beam because it was rotted. He was right. It was rotted right about 3 feet that way. And by rotted, I mean rotted and broke. It had literally broke. So that needed to be fixed. So he said that he did it. And the way that he did it, he used chipboard. I think the technical term of it is OBS. But it's basically just, the cheap chipboard plywood. That's not even real plywood. That you get at Lowe's for like $14 a sheet. And he basically put some cinder blocks in there, put some OBS on top of the cinder blocks, which OBS is not meant to hold any weight. It's not water resistant. It's a mess. And he basically used that to hold up the center of the house. So, had contractor number two. We went under the house together, and he showed me everything that was wrong. We needed to buy, I think it was, at the end of the day, it was like 15 support jacks that we had to buy. This was the most expensive part of the entire operation. And then they had to cut wood supports, 2x6s in particular, 2x8s, and 4x4s in some spots to support this whole house. Because there was literally nothing supporting a lot of where we're sitting right now, actually. And so we needed to add the jacks. And we also needed to add wood to support. When you run the wood across and you put jacks underneath to support it. There was no support really over in this brand new area that they built. And that's why it was uneven.
Yeah.
And that side of the house is never going to be right. But it's fine. It's supported now. It's got jacks under it, 4x4s. It's fine.
We knew that we were getting an older house.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a historical house or anything, but we saw value and beauty in this home in particular. This was a family home for many, many years. And we didn't want to come in and just razz it. We wanted to take and bring life to this house again. So maybe at this point we would have saved ourselves some money.
Knock it down and start over.
But we still see value in it.
Yeah. So anyway, this was very, very, very expensive. Very expensive. But he did go under there and he did do it. And it's all supported. And and here we are. Now, there's still some other things that need to be done. There's a lot of painting. There's some light fixtures that need to be put up. There's some electrical that I haven't really figured out yet. Like how things were wired. Working on that.
We have lights that don't go on and off with switches.
Which is not all that uncommon. It's not. But the weird thing about it is when you pull the lights down, like when you actually, like, for instance, in our storage room, there was like 2 or 3 lights that were strung together which you think to yourself, oh, that's not good. Well, it's actually okay. We're putting LEDs up. They're not drawing more than like I think 8 watts. I think it is, or 6 watts. It's not a lot. You can have 1,000 of them strung together. It really isn't going to matter when it's so low wattage. But still, how the heck did they wire this thing? Like, why are all these things wired together? Like, there's some things that I just can't get the electricity off to. I don't know why.
Even with the main off. The
like,
light in this room, when we killed the main, this light was still hot.
Now, I think I figured that out. But yeah, there is some riddles to be figured out. There are some things to be done. There's some trim work that has to be done. But right now, like, it's fine. The house isn't going to collapse. Like, everything is okay. And that really is what this is all about. Like, getting a safe environment for the family. All of us are okay. And I know that we really summarized this because I did cram a lot of information for what happened in a short amount of time. But I just want to just kind of say a few things, and maybe Ginger will want to say a few things too. But the first thing is, again, who cares if they're insured? Who cares if they're licensed? It means nothing. Because I actually talked to a couple of attorneys, and the only way really to handle this is to put an attorney on retainer, sue the individual / business. But the problem is the business can just be bankrupted, basically, go out of business, and you may never get anything.
And you still have to fix your house. Like, the retainer was almost as much as, I would say a third of the repairs. So it really didn't make a whole lot of sense because, if we put that money into the repairs, we know we're getting it fixed. So, because I'm here to monitor it and I do know kind of what's going on. So, it just didn't make any sense to do that. But I say that to say, who cares about those two things? Also, just a note on all this, like, seriously think before, like, if you're going to be buying a fixer-upper, like, think. And I say that because, okay, do I really want to fix this? Or do I just want to go buy something else? And I don't mean another property per se. I mean, like, do I just want to buy a trailer? Or do I just want to buy a manufactured home? Or, if you really want to get crazy, you could even move a house. It was popular in the 90s and the early 2000s, but that could be done. Modular homes, like house kits. Do I want to convert a shed? Like, there's 1,000 different options. There's actually a tiny home here. It's about 2 or 3 miles up the road. Like, do I want to do that? But seriously, think about those things, because when you really get into it, saving an older house is very, very expensive. I would also just add that I say that, but also, like, it would not have really been all that expensive if things were done right the first time. Like, we would have been over budget, but I expected it. At the end of the day, we would have been right about where I figured we would be if we didn't have to do things twice. So there's that. I really just want to end my portion of the video, and I'll let Ginger close it out, but I really just want to end it by saying, like, we are all happy to be somewhat stable. We do need a dishwasher, which we're hoping to get next weekend. We're working on that. Maybe before this video goes up, maybe after, we'll see. We are due to close on our house in New Jersey and close that chapter. We are really excited about that. We've had to do a lot with that house, which we'll make a video about that house, because, that there's a lot to say about selling a house in New Jersey that's just sad, really, when you think about it. But yeah, we're closing that chapter, and we're looking forward to the chapter that is now. I just can't say enough about where I'm working right now. I was a little reluctant to take a full-time position somewhere, but Ginger and I had talked about it, and we really kind of prayed about it. We thought about it, weighed out our options. This job, I love this job. He weighed out the options. There were 3 or 4 different jobs that were a potential. And I told him as soon as I heard about this job, I said, that's the one. I feel an absolute sense of peace about it. Like, it was just like kind of like this peace that enveloped me when he would talk about it. I'm like, that's perfect. Like, that's perfect. It's perfect. And the other ones, like, I had like these nagging, like, ooh, that's
I will tell you.
Mauled. I was like, nope, I know which job, but you do what you want.
I had 2 other written offers. All I had to do was sign and send it back. I had 2 other ones. And this one was very personable. And when we got down here, I really liked, and by the way, this job was not the highest paying one by any means. But
actually, I think
it was the lowest paying one. And so I was kind of like, but the benefits were great.
And the environment.
So I remember when we got down here, my now boss wanted to do an interview with me when we got here. And so I went ahead, I did the interview, which I went to in jeans. And
it was all we could find.
And because it was like all I could find. But I wanted to do this interview, like, you know, as soon as we could. I think it was like 2 weeks or a week after we got here.
It was the next week.
Yeah, it was like 10 days or whatever.
I was still rotating like the same 2 changes of clothes.
Yeah, because we couldn't find anything. And so I did the interview. I went to the interview. I thought it was good. And my now boss called me, I think it was the next day or the day after, and he said, we would like to hire you, but I am concerned because you wore jeans. Like, we have a business casual 4 out of 5 days, and on Tuesdays we have professional dress. Like, I have to wear a suit. So he's like, I'm a little concerned that you wore jeans, but he said this, and I will never forget what he said. He said, you know, you guys took a chance on Kentucky, and now Kentucky's going to take a chance on you. I don't even know what to say to that. You know, that really jumped out at me, and I was ready to start. And, you know, I'm not going to reveal all the tricks of the trade here, but I will say that they take extremely good care of us. Extremely good care of us. They are absolutely excellent to work for. You know, I see my boss not every day, but on a pretty regular basis, and I have the absolute utmost respect for him beyond anything that I could portray in this video, because I think he genuinely cares. And I think that that's very hard to find these days. So, you know, I love my job. Whether you know it or not, I do have a master's degree, which in the environment that I work in has afforded me the opportunity to teach. I actually have an office job, you know, regularly, but I will also be teaching in the fall a Bible course. So, you know, I'm getting the best of both worlds here. And so I will say on camera that Ginger was right. It was definitely, you know, the better option. But yes, so you know, I love the job. Ginger's doing great with the kids, as great as she can be. Some days are harder than others. But we're all doing very well. I mean, you know, we dealt with a lot. We dealt with a lot of curveballs when we first got here. But I will tell you what, I love this place. I love this area. I love Kentucky. I never thought a place like this actually existed, where people will leave you alone. People are nice. And I feel like more than not, people do care about you. People will actually genuinely want to help you. So on that note, I'll turn it over to my better half over here. and she can close it out.
I don't really have too much more to add. I feel like the initial feeling of shell shock has subsided. The reality has sunk in, and the reality is that we have been blessed with this beautiful property, and we are in the early stages of creating something amazing that would only happen because God has been so very good to us. So this hiccup, as big of an inconvenience and as big of a costly issue as it's been, pales in comparison to what we have going on here. And I don't know if you can hear the little chirp, 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 chirps. We have already started to expand our flock. Videos coming on that soon. But if you see my Instagram reels, you'll know what this man came up with.
Yeah, and I do just want to add, I know I said to let Ginger close out, but I do just want to add, like, there is a lot of videos coming about different homesteading things. You know, like today, for instance, I was taking my EcoFlows, my solar generators, outside because I have a very temporary spot for my solar panels, just to kind of get the direction right, kind of see what I'm working with here. And really because I just wanted to use them. And so we have a very temporary setup. Well, it got very cold. And the solar generators didn't like that. So it was kind of like a wake-up call, like, okay, I need to get them inside. So I had to run the wire in the crawl space, which took me about a half an hour. It wasn't very bad. To get it, disconnected, ran right, it up here so that we can actually use it. We don't have to walk outside to use it. But like there's solar videos coming, I'm sure. There's some water videos, some water collection videos, which I'm really looking forward to. We have huge plans for off-grid water, off-grid electric. We do have some chirps out there. Like there's a lot going on here. And I know that we were a little dormant for a little while because we were dealing with this stuff.
It's hard to film content when you literally are just treading water on being able to function. Like I haven't had a functional kitchen. I haven't really. The bathroom, thank God, was functional throughout the whole experience. But trying to make sure that everybody's fed when everything's covered in speckled dust, like. The amount of cleaning that I did in the first 4 weeks that we were here was insane. And it was the same areas over and over and over again. It's enough to really, work your nerves. And here I am, still recovering from C-section, having a baby, breastfeeding through the night, all of this at the same time. But you know what? We survived. We didn't kill each other. And now we're starting to really see things shape up, and it's really exciting. So now we're kind of getting to the point where it's more exciting for us. And hopefully on this video the sound quality will be better. I am trying out a microphone. Maybe in the comments let me know if it's any better. I've been struggling with that on the editing end, but hopefully this will.
Yep. So on that note, look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, there's more coming, so stay tuned. God bless you.